trailhead, but
Oh yeah.
it is mental. The mental element is huge. So for you, what is kind of so let's say you're about to start an ultra. You pull up to the first trailhead. You know the pain and the long day that's ahead of you. What's kind of going through your brain as you start the first mountain? Because a lot of these Adirondack hiking challenges in particular, you're up one mountain, down one mountain, back to the car, drive to the next one. Up one mountain, down one mountain, drive back to the car, drive to the next one. So, you're not just leaving for the day and then getting back to your car at the end of the day. Some of them you are, sure, but not all of
Mhm.
them. So when you get to the first trailhead, what's going through your brain personally?
So when I get to the first trailhead, in all honesty, I'm not psyching myself out. I'm not putting that daunting task over the top of my head saying, "Oh my God, I have to do 9 mountains right now." I am not doing that whatsoever. You know what I am telling myself? I'm gonna do a Lake Placid Niner, and that's basically it. And I just go into it as a hike. Um, I don't overthink hikes. I used to. I think everybody does, until you get to that point where you know that you psyched yourself out, but then you did it. And then you psyched yourself out for the next one, but then you did it. And then it gets to the point where it's like, I'm just not going to psych myself out anymore because I've been doing everything that I've tried to set out to do so far, and I haven't felt like I'm anywhere near that wall of a limit, like an actual limit. And I mean, when your brain's telling you that you're done, you're really only 40% done. Um, and that's so true because there's so many times I'm out there hiking and it's just you hit that mental wall and you're like you just start to slog and you start to feel like, oh man, I gotta climb this mountain right now, and I've done so much and I'm feeling really tired. I don't know if I can finish it. And those thoughts where you have to work on. You just got to crush them immediately, and then you just try to put your mind on something else, and then you just walk, and that is it. And and eventually you're going to get up the mountain and down the mountain. And I just try to enjoy the day. I just try to. You get to the next mountain. I'm hiking Catamount right now. Okay, you go to hike it and you get back down and you're like, all right, team, if you're with a team, 3 mountains down, 5 mountains down, give them a high five and you move to the next one. And I try to keep everybody, if they're on my team, try to keep everybody positive in it. Just that positive morale and thinking that you can do it versus you can't do it or you don't know if you can do it. If you're constantly drilling that into your head, it's probably not going to happen. You create your own reality. So if you're going to tell yourself that you can't do it, chances are you're probably not going to be able to do it. But the only reason you couldn't do it is because you told yourself you couldn't. And it's just, not only with hiking, with life, everything in life, we teach ourselves that we can't do stuff, and we really can. We talk ourselves out of a lot of things. And that's just another reason why hiking is amazing to me and why hiking's changed my life. But when I get to that trailhead in the morning, I'm going to do an LP9, or I'm going to do a Lake George 12-step, or, some of those days where you don't get back in your car and you say, I'm going to do, a Great Range Traverse. And that's just it. And you just one foot in front of the other and you just try to enjoy your day as best as you can. It's going to get painful later in the day. I've done enough of them to know that it's going to get painful, and it just kind of comes with the territory with this stuff. But I know that it's good pain. It's making me stronger, both mentally and physically. And, in a day or two, I'll be all set and I'll be ready to do another one. So,
That's definitely a good analogy of life, 100%. You kind of
yeah,
psych yourself out of most things in life, and you can actually do it if you don't psych yourself out and be counterintuitive in that point. Counterproductive,
absolutely.
I mean. In case you don't know, the Lake Placid Niner Challenge is just over 30 miles. The Lake George 12-ster is just over 40 miles. I don't know what
Yeah.
the Saranac Lake 6 is. You probably do.
I think it's right around 30.
Okay, so right
Um,
around 30.
yeah,
So
a little less elevation than the Niner.
yeah, and again, if you're listening, the ultra challenges, these have to be accomplished to be considered an ultra in 24 hours. At least those Adirondack challenges do. Not everything needs to be done in 24 hours, but gives you an idea as to how much hiking is being done. 40 miles in 24 hours. Bonkers.
Yeah. There's one actually that in the Adirondacks is the ADK Blue, I think it is, ADK Blue Challenge. And they did an ultra, but that one is 10 mountains. It's 50 miles. It took us 8 hours of drive time. They give you 48 hours to do the ultra on that one. But when we did it earlier on this year, a few of us, and that was a crazy day because I had hiked. I think it took us. We decided to not take really any like rest breaks as far as other than stopping to get gas and food and changing your clothes real quick. We didn't take any like an hour-long break to rest or sleep or take a nap. And that ended up taking us 36 hours, I think, right around there. I don't quite recall the time right off my top of my head, but that is a very long time to start in the dark, hike through the dark, hike through the night, hike hike through the day, and then hike through the next night, and then finish at sunrise the next day is just that's bonkers.
That is intense. With
Yeah.
no sleep
Yeah,
anywhere. Yeah.
no, you don't get any sleep anywhere. And I mean, you're driving around for 8 hours in between all those mountains to get to all of them. So it's not for everybody. It's a lot of people don't enjoy doing that kind of stuff. But if you're ever just wondering what you're actually physically capable of, it's a good place to get into to see what you can actually do. Because I guarantee you're going to surprise yourself.
Absolutely. And it's neat that you said that. What people don't understand too is a lot of times you think, oh, you're only hiking this one mountain and then you're driving to the next one and you're going to hike that one. So it's like, it's just a quick up and down. The driving and the getting back in the car when your body just starts to shut down, that's actually kind of, from a physical standpoint, that's probably the more challenging part is constantly getting back up and running. Once you get out of the car and like, especially, let's say probably midway through the day, I assume getting out of the car each time is like, oh man, and getting back and rolling and getting moving again. I assume that's probably the biggest physical problem. Once you get hiking, it's not as bad, but the cars, that must be rough.
You nailed it. And that is the hardest part, especially like you think that would be tough with the 12-steer, but you can link 6 mountains together. You can link 2 mountains. So it's really not that many trailheads. With the 9er, you have 9 trailheads. That is the absolute hardest part about these ultras that you have to get in and out of your car is anytime during the day you get back in your car, you can choose not to get back out of your car. Anytime during the day,
good point.
You can just say, why am I even doing this? And you could just drive home. It's not like being in the middle, you're in the middle of a great range traverse and you're standing on top of Gothics and you're like, well, my car can either go that way or I can go that way. But either way, it's more than 5 miles away and you don't have a choice but to keep going. And now with these ultras, every single trailhead you get to, you have to convince yourself to get out of the car and go hike yet another mountain. And when that's mountain 6, 7, 8 deep in the day, you're just like, sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes it's really hard to do it. But then, there's also that excitement factor once you start getting, you're tired towards the end of it, but then you're like, but I'm almost done and I got 2 more.
You're over the hump at some point. And
yeah.
You feel that. You can see the finish line. Have there been any that you've quit that, you said sometimes you get in your car and you could just go home. Have there been any that you've done that?
Yeah. So the first time I tried the Lake Placid Winter 9er, I got through 6 of them and I had to quit because I got it to Hurricane Trailhead and I was getting ready to go and my legs just locked up in so much cramping pain. It was just Charlie horses through my whole legs and I couldn't move them. And I'm sitting here in the car like, I can't do it. And it lasted like half an hour. I was drinking water and electrolytes and I didn't really know what to do because that had never happened to me before. I've played hockey. I ran, in high school. I was an athlete growing up, and then, going to college, I kind of stopped being athletic and active, and now the mountains have brought me back to it. But I had never felt such excruciating cramping pain in my legs before, so I was just like, okay, these mountains aren't going anywhere, and I've got a couple weeks of winter left if I want to try it again this year. If not, just do it next year, no big deal. And I went home. And, those days happen, and sometimes that's what you got to do. Um, as far as quitting any other ultras, the Mahusik comes to mind. We had tried a winter ultra um, across the Mahusik Traverse, which is, it goes, half of it's in Maine, half of it's in New Hampshire, and in my opinion, between that and probably the Cranberry 50, as far as the Northeast Ultra 8 hiking challenge is concerned, there's obviously other things you can do that are bigger and harder. But as far as those 8 challenges are considered, I think the Mahusik and the Cranberry 50 are the hardest too. The Cranberry 50, because if you've never walked 50 miles before, if you've never walked more than 20 miles before, 50 miles is a lot of footsteps. It's almost 100,000 footsteps. That's a lot of just beating your feet up just all day long. So that's why that's hard to me. Some people might find that a breeze because there's barely any elevation, and it's just walking through the woods literally all day long. But the Mahusik is just very, 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 very demanding. And it has a stretch on the Appalachian Trail. The Mahusik, I think, is 30, I don't remember. I think it's 32 miles long, maybe. But it has a stretch along the Appalachian Trail that is the hardest mile of the entire 2,000 whatever mile long Appalachian Trail is, and it's called the Mahusik Notch. And it's a mile long of like house-sized boulders that you're just crawling up and over and around and just navigating through this. It's basically just this huge valley in between two mountains, and it's just strewn with huge boulders. And it's super fun. It's like a big, gigantic playground in there, and I loved every second of it, but it's demanding on your whole body when you're trying to cross the whole traverse in one day. And it's just because you're using your entire body, pulling yourself up on boulders, getting down low, crouching here, crouching there, and it's a whole mile long. If you've ever done that, it's like a mile long straight obstacle course. So that's tough. So not many people do that in the wintertime. Very, very few people have even attempted to cross the Mahusik, the whole thing, in the wintertime. I think there's actually only one group officially on paper. I'm sure there's probably others, locals maybe, who knows, but officially on paper, I think there's only one other group that's crossed it in 24 hours anyway, in the wintertime. Not over a couple days, but in 24 hours, there's only one group. So last winter, we tried it. It was like a week before Christmas. Actually, it was like the first, it couldn't have been a week before Christmas because December 21st. So we went, I think it was right before Christmas Eve. Yeah, it was right before Christmas Eve. And we were going to try to do a Mahusik. Well, we got up to the top of Old Speck, which is the first mountain if you go north to south. It's in Maine. It's also the only 4,000 footer on the Traverse, and it's also a fire tower. Really cool mountain. I highly suggest going to check that out. Maine is beautiful. Mountains in Maine are beautiful, but so we only got to the top of Old Speck and had to turn around. That was pretty disappointing. To drive that far, get that amped, get that psyched, that we thought we were going to be good. We thought we were going to crush it. We went into it with a super positive mindset, and the snow quality, unless you are an absolute beast, you need to wait for almost the perfect snow conditions. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to cross through there because you're going to be braking. the trail out.